Hi, my name's Jim Moyle, and I'm a Senior Product Manager with Windows Cloud Experiences. So I deal with both Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365, but today we're going to talk about application management for Azure Virtual Desktop. Now on the agenda today, we've got a whole load of demos for you, hopefully ones that are brand new to you, and will give you some help in looking after your application delivery environment for Azure Virtual Desktop. First of all, we're going to go over what's currently generally available, and then we'll look at other different types of packages that you may not be so familiar with AppAttach, AppV, some third parties, and then some interesting monitoring solutions. So right now in GA, Azure Virtual Desktop AppAttach has had a load of changes since you might have last looked at it. Applications can now be assigned to any host pool within a region. So you can take thousands of session hosts, as many resource groups, as many regions as you like, with one application disk, and then assign that application to any host pool. You can have a unique combination of applications for any user at all, even on the same host pool, and whether that's in the desktop or via remote app. So we now have the ability to separate the image and the application lifecycles, thus reducing the amount of custom images we have to maintain and increasing our agility and ability to reply to business needs. We're going to look at first how to do it with MSIX and then with different package types. So let's have a look at a quick demo for what is available to you now in Azure. All of these applications are native MSIX apps delivered by Microsoft. We're going to look at Teams, and we're going to take Teams, and I'm going to apply it to every single host pool in my environment here. Great. So now Teams can be run via AppAttach on all of my session hosts. Now, I'm going to add an Entra ID group so that those people in that group are now allowed to run that application. I can also update that application without needing to turn any of those session hosts on at all. And when they next log in, they will have the up-to-date version of that app. So I'm just going to browse my Azure Files environment. Doesn't have to be Azure Files, could be any SMB, could be Azure NetApp files, it doesn't matter. I'm going to pick up a disk image. It's in the SIMFS format, which is a little faster and more efficient than the VHDX format. That's it. We've now updated an application for what could be thousands of users, thousands of session hosts, and everybody will now have that new version of that application when they log in. What if I wanted to do that as a remote app? Well, now I need an application group. I didn't need an application group for the desktop, but I do for the remote app. We found an icon, and let's have a look in our Windows app client, and we can launch Microsoft Teams via AppAttach as a remote app. And there we go. Teams is up and running for all of your users in their environment on exactly the same version for everybody. So you know, as an admin of an environment, exactly which version of Teams or any application that everybody's on simultaneously. Nobody's lagging behind. Nobody's upgrading without you knowing. Now, that is our first party solution. Now, AppAttach can also integrate with a load of partner app delivery solutions. We've created a framework that ISVs can come and bring their application delivery solutions right into Azure and into Microsoft. For those ISVs, that integration is great for them because it allows them to expose some of their metrics into the Azure control plane. So now you can use Azure RBAC. You can assign applications to user machines in the same way as you can with AppAttach, even though it's an ISV who's delivering those applications. Also, now you can monitor and manage those applications through Azure native tooling. You do not have separate islands, separate of data and management that you have to swap between. You can do pretty much anything through the Azure portal. There are 3 launch partners for this. Hopefully you know who they are. If you're using one of these launch partners on premises, then you can absolutely pick up your existing environment and bring it straight into Azure and AppAttach. You can even run a hybrid environment. So you can run on-premises versions of these applications and run them in Azure Virtual Desktop as well. Liquidware are one of the partners. So they have a product called FlexApp, dynamically delivering apps from inside a VHD. Numescent, you see there, their product is Cloud Pager, which will actually stream applications down inside isolated containers. Very high level of application compatibility. They have all got good application compatibility. And last but not least, an Omnissa App Volumes. You'll probably be more familiar with the name VMware, but the new name for that company is Omnissa. And they will take your applications, put them in an App Volumes format, and deliver them into Azure Virtual Desktop. So we've talked about these ISVs who can integrate into Azure Virtual Desktop. Let's have a look at how that works. This is FlexApp, and we're looking at their Profile Unity administration console. And you can see Azure Virtual Desktop AppAttach is now part of their administration control plane. They're currently connecting to their Azure Virtual Desktop environment. For you, it would be your environment, but this is their test environment. Picking a region and essentially connecting to Azure. Okay, now all of the packages which are inside FlexApp are being synced into AppAttach. So the packages are created within FlexApp and then synced to AppAttach. We can see we've got 15 there. And in a moment, we're going to go to the AppAttach tab and we're going to refresh, and we can see that all 15 of those applications are now inside AppAttach. This is Numescent Cloud Pager. Again, we're going to create that connection between their control plane and Azure Virtual Desktop. In their wording, they call this a storefront. But again, we're going to pick a region and we're going to connect to AVD. We've got a list of applications, and this time we can actually select individual applications, which we can sync to AppAttach from the Numescent Cloud Pager UI. Interestingly, you can see that they've got Bloomberg in there, very difficult application to virtualize. And for those selected applications, we're now going to publish those and push those into AppAttach for an admin to look and administer. So just like FlexApp, we've now published those into AVD. Let's switch to the Azure tab. They already had some applications inside the UI there, and now we can see all the new applications that they selected are there. Now this is App Volumes. So Omnissa App Volumes, slightly different demo because this is from first principles. This is from their marketplace, Azure Marketplace offering. You can integrate your existing environment into AppAttach, but you can also do it from scratch. So we're creating the App Volumes control plane from the Azure Marketplace. We're connecting it again into Azure and Azure Virtual Desktop. So this would usually take a few minutes to stand up all the databases and VMs, but we're going to skip over that. And now we're going to sign in with your Entra ID credentials. And if you're familiar with App Volumes, then you'll be familiar with this console. We've got 2 applications, 2 versions of Notepad++. As soon as we set one to current, then that is going to push that application up into the AppAttach UI. And we should swap to the Azure UI in just a second. There we go. And we can see that that Notepad++ package is now synced with AppAttach. There is no difference in terms of the Azure backend between a native AppAttach package, one with AppV, as we're going to see in a minute, or one with third parties. So you can actually mix and match as to what you need to do, and many of our customers are doing that. But you can monitor and admin and entitle all of those applications in exactly the same way. So I mentioned AppV. Now, there are 3 parts to AppV. as a feature. One is the sequencer, which comes along with the Windows Client SDK. One is the client, which is built into Windows. And the third part is all of the server infrastructure. So the IaaS bits, the database and the application servers, etc. One of these three parts is going to be end of life in April 2026. And that part is the server infrastructure as part of MDOP, or the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack. The sequencer and the client are not going end of life and do not have a current end of life date associated with them at all. So this means that if you have an existing AppV environment, whilst the server side of things is going away, we are providing you with another control plane which helps out with your AppV environment. And that control plane is, again, AppAttach in Azure Virtual Desktop. So that means you can take your existing AppV packages and create a AppAttach object. And instead of looking at a third party or an MSIX, it's just looking at an AppV file. You don't need to put it in a disk or anything. So in terms of first party native support, we have MSIX, MSIX bundles, AppX, AppX bundles, and now AppV as well. So you can feel totally confident in moving your AppV packages into AVD. So let's have a quick demo of AppV in AppAttach. So we're going to create an object in the same way. We're going to browse our storage in the same way that we would usually do. We're going to take an AppV file. Now notice there, we actually had a deployment config file, so you can get user and system deployment configs into your AVD environment, as well as just the straight AppV file. We can bring the configuration files as well. They have to be in the same folder as the AppV file. Super simple. It's identical to the way that you would create a normal AppAttach. You're just, as I say, looking at the AppV file and not looking at a disk. We've just logged into a desktop. As you notice, we had Adobe Reader as the application, and there we have AppV working inside Azure Virtual Desktop, delivered by AppAttach. And this isn't a changed AppV package. This is exactly the same AppV package as you might have on premises right now. I promised you we'd talk about monitoring. All of these different package formats. Now, bear in mind, we now have 5 different package formats that AppAttach can support. All of these can be monitored through Azure in exactly the same way. So Azure Monitor, as you would expect, is the traditional way that we're going to be monitoring our AppAttach environment. We can collect all of the information that you need. It can all be queried via custom query language. We can dashboard it. We can analyze it. It's also gives you detailed application usage information. One of the big requests from customers that I hear is, I want to be able to tell what applications my users are using and when they're using it. Is there an application providing that people aren't using? Are people using weird versions? You want to know what's happening in your environment. That information can also be used to troubleshoot. We're also going to surface any warnings and errors so you can investigate what's happening in your environment. If you've not seen this before, then let me show you a demo of how to do it. This is monitoring for AppAttach. If we go into the individual AppAttach object, we can see that we have a diagnostic setting and we're sending all of the information to our log analytics workspace. This is that workspace. Now we have errors. We just saw that table was errors. This is WVD checkpoints where your operational stuff is happening. Now we've filtered that checkpoints table just for AppAttach as the source. And let's have a look into one of these events to see what type it is. And we see its individual parameters. The app name is actually the Teams update function. It does check for updates. I have turned it off in my environment because I'm delivering that via AppAttach. But you can see that we can also check when those applications have been invoked, how many times. We could also filter it down by user. We can also filter it down by VM as well. Inside Windows, a really good troubleshooting log is Event Viewer and this AppX deployment server. we can see where I've deliberately tried to introduce a framework app that doesn't work, and we're getting the event log in Windows. If you enable log analytics for the VM, you can actually bring that same event log into log analytics, and then you can correlate it via VM name or via time to the other errors that you're seeing. And it's a really good way to investigate what's happening in your environment. I brushed over there that framework packages do not work via app attach. Framework packages are dependencies that pretty much any MSIX package needs to run. Not just app attach, just any MSIX package. The built-in snipping tool or Paint or Notepad needs these frameworks to run. There are a lot of versions of them, and a lot of customers have come to me saying, I would like to pre-install these framework packages in a custom image for everybody so that I know that when I'm delivering MSIX files via app attach or via any other mechanism, that all of that frameworks are there before we try and deliver stuff. So there is a script. It's on my GitHub. The link is there. This is the list of frameworks for MSIX. So Windows App Runtime, UI XAML, and you can read the rest. And what I'm doing is I'm looping through those frameworks. I'm getting every single version of those frameworks from NuGet and from other sources, and taking the highest major minor version. So if there's a 286 and a 287, then we'll take the 287, but we'll also take the 291 as well. So you get the major plus minus, so 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 are all required because that's the way dependencies in MSIX works. So hopefully this script will help you out if you're having trouble with any of the frameworks. So that is the end of my session on App Attach and Azure Virtual Desktop today. Thank you so much for coming along and spending your valuable time with me today. I hope you found it useful. Have a great day.